Thank you, Kathleen, for getting me here. Thank all the organizers and all of you for coming. This is quite an exciting event. I've really enjoyed it. I have, to balance the attitude about Albert Einstein, I have a nice quote that he made for you, for this organization, to raise new questions, new possibilities, to regard old problems from a new angle requires creative imagination and marks real advance in science. He was a good guy. He got us a little off track. This kind of describes what's going on here. There's almost a sensual longing for communion with others who have a large vision. The immense fulfillment of the friendship, which I see lots of friendship here and celebrate, between those engaged in furthering the evolution of consciousness has a quality impossible to describe. This is about the evolution of consciousness. There are many domains in the palace of science, and they all have problems, similar to the ones that the Thunderbolt Project has. My focus has been on biology and medicine, and we have the same problem. The textbooks are full of wrong material, they're out of date, and there's no interest in bringing them up to date. So there we have it. My topic, human metabolism meets cosmic metabolism. On the left is what I call the cosmic matrix, the distant stars, galaxies, the interstellar wind, the sun, the solar wind, the magnetosphere, the planets, the moon, the Earth's various fields, us, and other species. That is the cosmic matrix, and I'm going to talk about how this intersects with the living matrix within us. This is the living matrix, and the concept comes from the recognition that our bodies are a continuum. All of the parts of the body, just like all of the parts of the universe, are connected. And so this is a cell, and it's the recognition that the cell contains a matrix, which is called the cytoskeleton, which contains another matrix, which is called the nuclear matrix. And it's surrounded by another matrix called the connective tissue matrix. It's the largest organ in the body. It's the only organ that touches all of the other organs. And I view this, first of all, as an electronic circuit. I've made little red dots, which represent electrons. Nobody has ever seen an electron, so it's just science fiction that they're little red dots, but it's to give you the idea of the dynamic motion, movements of electrons within the circuit of the body. And what I'm interested in and believe is to be one of the fascinating, most interesting subjects I can study is the interface between space, which is the stuff that we have more of than anything else within us, which is continuous with space everywhere, which I am learning is a plasma. In fact, all of this stuff is composed and contains plasma within it. I've accepted the plasma idea. I like it. The problem, this is the old model of the cell that you'll find in textbooks. It's a bag of soup with things floating around in it. This is the connective tissue out here. No relationship. This model is wrong. Forget it. The more accurate model is the matrix within a matrix within a matrix, totally interconnected. So this is the modern model that includes the cytoskeleton and the nuclear matrix. This model came about because of an important discovery by a scientist at in Cambridge, England. I was visiting Cambridge in 1969, and a friend of mine said, Mark Brecher has found out something interesting. Down the street on Hills Road, he did a study on red blood cells, and he discovered that there were proteins that go across the membrane of the red blood cell. His experiment used radioactive tracers. Here's the cell membrane. He asked the question, Does this protein, it was called spectrin, does it stick to the surface of the membrane? Does it go down into the membrane? Does it go way down in the membrane? Maybe it goes all the way across. Nobody had ever asked this question before. He found that the protein went all the way across the membrane. Of course, everyone knew he was crazy. Science is funny. Science depends absolutely on new ideas. Scientists detest new ideas. That's the paradox of science. So it took a while, but he did publish his work in prestigious journals, and it was discovered that he was right. In fact, here's a protein that goes back and forth across the membrane 7 times. It makes the point. He was right. These molecules came to be known as integrins. They integrate what's going on inside the cell with what's going on outside of the cell, and it can be said that the connections from the outside to the inside and in the other direction, the matrix is hardwired to the cytoskeleton nuclear matrix, and the links are mechanical and energetic and electronic. So we call the whole thing the living matrix. It means that every cell in the body is connected to every other cell in the body and is connected directly with the various fibrous components. We're talking about tendons, cartilage, the superficial fascia, the connective tissue around the nerves, the organs such as the heart has a connective tissue capsule, and within it, it has tendons. This is all connective tissue. The bone and its covering, periosteum, ligaments, the myofascia, the fascia around the muscles. This is a continuous system. If the body has a holistic aspect to it, this is it, and it's an aspect that we know a lot about. We know the structure of all of these materials. And it's, as I said, the only organ that touches all of the other ones. Here, for example, is the spleen, which has a connective tissue capsule, and trabeculae that go down into the spleen. There's no place in the body that is far away from connective tissue. The living matrix is made of a remarkable material. It's, I think, the most remarkable material in the universe. It has amazing properties. It's a hydrated liquid crystal. It's a semiconductor. I mentioned these words. I've heard them mentioned in this conference. The material is piezoelectric, it's pyroelectric, it's thermoelectric, and it's an electret. This is collagen, the basic building block of the human body. It's a triple helix. This is the molecule. It's called tropocollagen. Whoops. Tropocollagen, and it's surrounded by a hydration shell, a layer of water, which Dr. Pollack talked about yesterday. The system in the body, one of the systems in the matrix is the acupuncture system. Acupuncture has been known since for thousands of years to have vertical meridians that run up and down. They're called Jing, horizontal meridians that are called Lo, and they have branches. And the branches touch, I think, the cell surface and contact the matrix in the cell and extend down into the nucleus. And the meridians are primary channels through the matrix. They allow for very high speed communication between every part of the body and every other part, and they reach into every nook and cranny. And I think it's an electronic network, and I'll say more about that. So here it is. It's the energy and information system in the body. It's one of them. When we think of energy and information, we think of nerves. Nerves are nice, so I'm glad I have nerves, but this is another system that also communicates, and it communicates much faster than the nervous system. And when you have an injury or a trauma of any kind, this is the system that is disturbed, much less so the nervous system. The interface between the cosmic matrix and the living matrix is fascinating, and I believe holds the key to many unsolved problems in biology. T.H. Huxley said, "The question of all questions for humanity, the problem which lies behind all others and is more interesting than any of them, is that of the determination of our place in nature and our relation to the cosmos. What a good statement of what all of you folks are up to and what the biologist is interested in. This is a wonderful book by Dwayne Elgin. I think you might like this man and you might like his book, since it has thunderbolts on the cover. Can't be all that bad. And this is a good statement of what all of this is all about. The more we are in touch with the universe we come from, the more we will be able to heal ourselves and at the same time heal our planet. We are an integral part of a living and intelligent universe. And Dwayne Elgin's ideas about the intelligent universe are fascinating. Getting in touch with the universe, connecting with the universe. I've been lucky to be involved in a project for the last 8 or so years that concerns getting in touch with the earth. It's about the Barefoot Revolution. I am very fortunate as a scientist. It's rare that a scientist gets involved in a project that can affect the lives of literally millions of people around the world. So it's quite an honor and a privilege to work on this and try it out. It's free, and if you don't feel well or if you don't like jet lag, just take your shoes and socks off and go outside and stand barefoot in the grass for 15 minutes if you have an asthma attack, if you ate too much and have a bloated stomach, and on and on and on. And you will see more about this in a minute. The Barefoot Story is about deficiency of electrons. And most of us are, most of the time, deficient in electrons. And so I'm going to explain what that means. And before recent times, we walked and slept directly on the earth or on things like hides, animal hides, which are semiconductors. They're made out of collagen and connected us to the earth, or we wore moccasins, which were also conductive. Barefoot is natural. Rubber and plastic shoes came in 50 or so years ago. They disconnected us electrically from the earth, and this is a problem. Look at how close this person is from the moist sand, from being connected to the earth, the whole of the earth, which is conductive, especially near seawater. She is about a 16th or 1/8 or maybe a 1/4 of an inch away from a very healthy experience. Attractive, maybe? Good for you? Probably not, for many reasons. So grounded, or earth, this is Mr. Shoes. He doesn't look too happy. This is Mr. Barefoot, the tree, the dog. Grounded or earth means that we are connected to the surface of the earth and its abundant supply of electrons. This is natural. The electrons spread over and into our bodies. They stabilize our internal electrical environment. Everything works better. These electrons flow continuously from the sun to the via the solar wind to the ionosphere. They come to the earth in the form of lightning or thunderbolts, and they continuously supply the surface of the earth. When we are barefoot, these electrons come into our body and do very good things. Electrostatics teaches us that when two conductors with different electrical potentials touch each other, there's an instantaneous transfer of charge so that the objects become equally charged. And the body is a conductor of electricity, and so is the earth, except in very dry places, like the desert. And there's a point on the bottom of the foot, on the ball of the foot, known in acupuncture parlance as kidney 1. Ideally placed there by the goddess when she designed the foot, so that every step we take connects with the earth. And that point connects through the meridian system to every nook and cranny within the body. The connection is via the meridian system, via the skin and mucous membranes, which you can trace into the respiratory system, the thin membranes in the alveoli and then into the blood, via the circulatory system, the mucous membranes that connect with your whole digestive tract, and via the blood. So these electrons go everywhere and reach into every nook and cranny, including the cells in the living matrix. How does connecting with the earth affect us? What does that do for us? People have known for a long time that it feels good to go barefoot. Women who work in the garden and have their hands in the soil know that it's a good thing to do. It feels good. It's a good connection. What we have done, about a dozen scientists working over the last few years, is find out why it feels good. Here are the discoveries, and this is the order that we made the discoveries. First of all, sleep improves. Millions of people have insomnia. Connecting to the earth seems to, for most people, be a cure for insomnia. People sleep better because they have less pain. They have less pain because they have less inflammation. They have less inflammation because the electrons from the earth are nature's antioxidant. They are the best treatment for inflammation. People relax. This has been discovered to be due to changes in the autonomic nervous system that happen virtually instantaneously when you touch your feet to the earth. Accelerated healing of injuries. If you hurt yourself, get your bare feet onto the earth. Increased heart rate variability, a measure which is an indicator of longevity. Less clumping of red blood cells, recently less blood viscosity. This is profoundly important. Heart disease is the #1 killer in the world. If you or any of your loved ones have a cardiovascular issue, of course, see the doctor and get your shoes and socks off and get them barefoot on the earth. This can prevent cardiovascular problems. It can help if a person has these problems. The reason for that is that virtually every aspect of cardiovascular disease is connected to blood viscosity. When the blood becomes viscous, the heart has to pump harder, the blood pressure goes up, the heart gets enlarged, and so on. Many disturbing things happen, and grounding to the earth takes care of that. In terms of sleep, connecting the body with the earth during rest, and this is a mattress that has a sheet that has conductive carbon or silver fibers in it. The fibers connect to a wire that either goes through the wall or out the bedroom window to a rod stuck in the earth. My job is to explain, like you have many simple explanations for people's problems that they can't seem to solve, my challenge is to explain how something as simple as this can have such a profound effect on your health. And basically the mechanism is that when you're connected to the earth, the cortisol rhythm normalizes. If you have elevated cortisol at night, you can't sleep. And after earthing, the cortisol rhythm normalizes, people sleep better, and it's fantastic. This is a case of this is called thermal amputation. These are medical infrared images that show the temperature of the skin. This is thermal amputation. The fingers are so cold that you can't even get an image. And sleeping on one of these systems for only 4 nights, the circulation returns, the pain goes away, and it's that quick. And here's another case. In this case, this woman came in with a cane, limping. She had an accident 6 years before. She has inflammation in her knees. Her knees were very painful. This patch, conductive patch, placed on her knee, attached to a wire that went out the window to a rod in the ground. After 30 minutes of sitting like that, She said, well, nothing happened. Then she stood up. Oh my goodness, my pain is gone. And she went dancing for the first time in 6 years. So that's how quickly electrons can do the job. Injuries heal much faster. This is from the Tour de France. This was the sprocket wheel cut into this person's leg. This is 1 day after the injury. This is day 2. If you're familiar with injuries like this, they don't heal that fast. It's absurd how fast it is. And the basic discovery is that if you connect to the earth, you connect the injury or connect your feet or connect any part of your body to the earth as soon as you can after an acute injury, the conventional signs of inflammation are greatly diminished or may not even occur at all. And these are the pillars of inflammation: heat, redness, swelling, pain, loss of function. That's been the hallmark of inflammation for thousands of years. It doesn't have to happen. If it does happen, that's abnormal. This is a system that's been used to study what happens when you connect the body to the earth. Here are the patches on kidney 1 connected to a device which goes to the earth, and you can do controlled experiments to find out, measure as many physiological parameters as you can. And what happens is a lot of things change. Virtually every measured physiological parameter changes. Here's where the earthing is connected, and I'll blow this up for you so that you can see it. This work is in progress. There's so much data here, it's taking a while to analyze, but you can see that breathing changes, the heart rate changes. This particular one is the skin resistance. And you can see at the moment of earthing, boop, there's a drop in skin resistance. What is that? This is one of the measures in the lie detector. This is an indication of emotional state. This change in the skin resistance means an immediate shift in the autonomic nervous system towards balance. Reducing blood clumping and blood viscosity. Here is before and after 40 minutes of being grounded. And here you can see clumps, rouleau formation. This is not good. When the blood is clumped, it's not as good at carrying oxygen to the tissues. After 40 minutes of grounding, the clumping is gone. People get stronger. This was a fellow who knew how much weight he could lift. After a year of sleeping grounded, he could lift considerably more weight. And what is going on there? The Earth's electrons have energy in them. And if you're an athlete and you want to have a good performance, or if you're just a person who wants to feel good and has to race to the bus or do anything that you have to do, 10 or 15 minutes barefoot will restore the electron balance in your body, will give you more energy, and if you're in a race, maybe you'll win a gold medal or whatever. Why is this? It's because the mitochondria, which are the powerhouses of the cell, are part of the matrix. They connect to the matrix. This is a mitochondrion, which produces ATP. They're attached to the matrix, and the mitochondria perform what's called the electron transport chain. They transport electrons and generate adenosine triphosphate, which is the chemical energy source for everything our body does, muscle contraction and so on. And so we have more energy for protein synthesis, cell division, cell migration. When you have an injury, cells have to migrate to the injury site. That takes energy. And so things heal faster. The immune cells function better. Everything works better. All of the biochemical reactions in the body are redox reactions. They need electrons. Here's a wonderful textbook. It's not what you call a very popular textbook. Electrons are kind of off limits in biochemistry for some strange reason. But this fellow teaches organic chemistry on the basis of electron flows. And so he makes these diagrams. Here's water plus hydrogen bromide gives charged water plus bromine, and with these little dots, he's tracing the flow of electrons through the organic chemical reactions. Pretty neat. And you need electrons. You can run out of electrons. So thank you, Clint. Clint is back there somewhere. Can you wave to us, Clint? There's Clint. Thank you, Clint, for explaining why we need to be earthed as much as we can. Thanks for developing various methods that can keep us connected to the earth all day long in our homes or at work. Thank you, Clint, for bringing copies of this book for everyone. I hope you've all picked up your... Thank you, Clint. And also this little news release that's going worldwide. And the book is an award-winning, on the bestseller list at Amazon. Ober, Sinatra, and Zucker. I wrote the foreword to the book, Earthing, the Most Important Health Discovery Ever. I'm glad that Clint brought copies for you. This book can save your life. It can help the health of those you care about and can make a big difference in the world. And these are some of the techniques that Clint has developed. There's a sleep system, a mattress. It's beautiful. It's fantastic. And it enables you to sleep. You know, in New England in the winter, we cannot sleep outside naked on the ground. This is much better. This is a thing you can put under your feet when you're at the computer. This you can have under your wrist. You cannot get carpal tunnel, which is a tendon inflammation. You can't get carpal tunnel if you're grounded. This is a flip-flop with a little conductive plug at kidney 1. This is a little strap or bracelet you can put around your wrist or your ankle. There's a larger one that can go around your chest if you suffer from asthma. Grounding will often just take care of asthma. There are 3 ways to connect. You can go barefoot. You can connect to your grounding system to a grounding rod inserted in the earth, or you can use the grounding port on your electrical system. You need to check. There's a ground checker. You need to make sure it's a good ground. Some homes don't have good grounds. Some people like to connect with the earth and the sun at the same time. That's a good idea. Probably a good idea. Because that's the circuit. The sun through the earth into your body. So how does disconnecting with the earth affect us? What happens if we disconnect? First of all, inflammation. Diseases of aging and the aging process itself. I write about energy medicine, and to me, the most exciting thing in energy medicine that makes energy medicine a legitimate branch of medicine is that inflammation has become the most exciting aspect of medical research worldwide. If you go to PubMed, the database of the National Library of Medicine, and put in inflammation, you will find hundreds of thousands of articles from scientists all over the world who are establishing the relationship between inflammation, and chronic diseases of all kinds. In fact, it's almost to the point that there aren't any diseases, really. There's just inflammation. And all those diseases that doctors learn in medical school, and the reason that medical students have to drink a lot of beer and have migraine headaches, learning the names of thousands of diseases and what prescription to write for each one, that's outmoded. And we are, with our research on grounding, understanding, see, the medical researchers establish a connection between inflammation and chronic disease, but what is the connection? and we know what the connection is. The connection has to do with the way electrons affect inflammation. So the diseases of aging, all of them, and the aging process itself. Cardiovascular disease, autoimmune diseases, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, aches and pains, insomnia, joint problems. These are the plagues of our culture that really can be traced to our disconnection from the earth. Here's a correlation that Clint worked out that's fantastic. The sales growth of synthetic soled shoes, that's the yellow line. The red line is the incidence of diabetes over a 30-year period. Now, a correlation like this doesn't mean anything in a way, but it sure does point to something. And this is a serious problem. The latest, and here's a magazine I highly recommend. It's called Science and Society. It comes from Mae Wan Ho in London. It is the only radical science magazine on earth. Maybe we all need to publish in this. It's a wonderful magazine. And her husband is a world authority on diabetes and its causes. And this is the latest statistics. The number of people with diabetes in 2011 reached 366 million. It's up almost 30% in 1 year. 4.6 million will die from the condition, and the cost is $465 billion US dollars a year. A group of scientists in, where are they? Poland, thank you. Yeah. A group of scientists, medical researchers in Poland, totally independent from us, have done a study, and they have found that they've confirmed all of the things that we have found out about earthing, and they did another study that showed that sleeping one night grounded lowers blood glucose. That's a fantastic result. The public is becoming aware of the importance of inflammation. This is Time magazine, the cover story, The Secret Killer, the surprising link between inflammation, heart attacks, cancer, Alzheimer's, and other diseases. Aging. This is a book about aging, the mechanisms of oxidative stress in aging. And the basic model of aging that is most thoroughly studied and widely looked at is the free radical model of aging. Free radicals are produced when you eat food, when you breathe air, or when you have an injury. Free radicals are delivered to sites of injury by the immune system, and they destroy bacteria and other pathogens, and that's important, but they can also create chronic inflammation and chronic disease. So the free radical theory is that cumulative damage from free radicals causes aging. Well, here's what I think is going on. If you're grounded, the matrix is a semiconductor. Electrons are zipping around in your matrix, as we see here. Whenever a free radical forms anywhere in your tissues, for example, mitochondria produce free radicals while they're producing energy. And one of the theories of aging is that the mitochondria destroy themselves over a long period of time. Here are some free radicals that form. If you're grounded, they will be neutralized virtually immediately. There's one that could have damaged the DNA. The matrix will provide electrons that will neutralize the free radicals as soon as they form. And this is preventive. This is prevention of the causes of aging. This is a theory. This is my guess about what's going on. How does the cosmic matrix interact with the living matrix? This is a juicy question. You are liquid crystals, every one of you. When we think of crystals, we think of hard things like diamond and quartz. This is a diamond quartz crystal, hard. Mineral crystals are highly ordered, dense, hard, inelastic. The atoms are highly structured. Organic crystals are also highly ordered. They're soft and elastic. They're springy. So we don't think that this material that we feel could be crystalline, but it is. Collagen is the building block of the human body, and this is a model of a collagen molecule. This is a collagen molecule magnified 4.5 million times. I got it at the hardware store. It's a triple helix. It's a manila rope. You can see it has 3 strands twisted together. This is a fibrous protein. There are 2 kinds of proteins in the body. One kind is fibrous, like this. The other kind are globular proteins. They're globs, like this. Like hemoglobin is a glob, globular protein, and its structure is such that it can carry oxygen. And it turns out that the globular proteins, which are not long and thin like that, have a good deal of helicity to them. As you can see, there's a lot of helical structure present in them. And a question I've had for a long time is, why did nature choose the helix for the basic building block of the human body? Again, the protein and its shell of water. There's something magical about this structure. And I wondered about this and wondered about it for a long time. Maybe water chose collagen. There's some very interesting books by Joe Collins, J.C. Collins, and he has developed a way of showing, it's sort of a mathematical graphic method for showing the relationship between clusters of water molecules and living organic molecules. This happens to be cholesterol, and his theory, which makes sense, is that if a molecule doesn't fit with water, it doesn't become part of life. So, and one other theory is that water invented life so it could walk around on land. So we're just a big trick that water is playing on nature. I was associated for some time in Woods Hole, Massachusetts with one of the greatest scientists of the 20th century, Albert Szent-Györgyi. He was the fellow who synthesized vitamin C. He got the Nobel Prize in 1937 for the synthesis of vitamin C. He got an award for the discovery of actin and myosin, the proteins of muscle. Profoundly important scientist. And I worked across the hall from him in Woods Hole, Massachusetts at the Marine Biological Laboratory and studied his work. Everybody thought he was crazy. This is what happens. You've not probably noticed that. What he did was, after doing very important research, he developed electronic biology. And nobody could understand what he was talking about. And so, rather than figure out what he was talking about, they just said, it's not important. I didn't like that. I thought, if you're going to judge somebody, you've got to first find out what they're saying. And if you don't understand them, don't criticize them. Anyway, he said that life is too rapid and subtle to be explained by slow-moving chemical reactions and nerve impulses. He said the proteins in the body, like collagen, are the stage upon which the drama of life unfolds. His writings are beautiful. Even though his native language was Hungarian, he wrote beautifully in English. The actors on the stage of life can be none other than small and highly mobile units such as electrons and protons. So here is the collagen triple helix. I have made the electrons red and protons blue. And in this case, I have the protons and electrons going in opposite directions. The protons migrate through the hydration shell, and the electrons through the protein matrix. You can imagine also that electrons and protons could move together. That's called an exciton. That's a case of charge moving without charge moving. In other words, it looks like nothing is happening because they cancel out, but something is happening. So this is collagen. It's a hydrated semiconductor. The electrons go through the protein. The protons and hydroxyls migrate through the hydration shell that Dr. Pollack talked about yesterday. These charge transfers are vital to life, and these electrons can go anywhere in the body and neutralize free radicals that create chronic disease and other chaos. And since it's a semiconductor, and the semiconductor nature of collagen was worked out by Albert St. Georgi. When he first said this, and it was 1941, no one could figure out where that idea came from. It was quite intuitive. A lot of scientists did studies that showed that he was wrong. Collagen does not conduct. What did they do? They took a liver, they ground it up, pulverized it, dehydrated it, squished it into a pellet, and tried to pass an electric current through it, and it wouldn't conduct electricity. Chemists are funny. And it turns out, if you take the water away, it doesn't conduct. The water is essential for the protein's properties. So this is, I view it as kind of, I view this material we're made of as an electronic network. And a lot of the miracles that occur in complementary and alternative therapies occur because the therapists have learned how to use their electronic network to interact with a patient's electronic network. This is energy medicine. And the meridian system, I suggest, among other things, is an electronic network. So there it is. Mei-Wan Ho, the principal person behind this incredible magazine, says this. First of all, various tissues in the body are liquid crystals. This is a cross-section of muscle. I think that's beautiful. I mean, there's no doubt that muscle is a crystal. This is the way collagen is organized in tendons and ligaments and other parts of the connective tissue. This is cell membranes, and all of these molecules are associated with water. So when you look at this, the way the collagen molecules are organized in the tendon, associated with those molecules are water molecules, which also form a liquid crystalline system. And Dr. Pollack talked about this yesterday. She said, and if I were an athlete or a performer of any kind, I would put this statement on my mirror so I could see it every day. Because our concepts of how our body works can help us in using our bodies. Liquid crystallinity gives organisms their characteristic flexibility, exquisite sensitivity and responsiveness, and optimizes the rapid, noiseless intercommunication that enables the organism to function as a coherent, coordinated whole. And coherence is very important also because these water molecules spin and they can become coupled, spin coupled, and coherent, which I'll describe in a minute. So there's something really special and maybe even sacred about this incredible helical structure. Why is it helical? Well, it turns out, and of course to study the interaction between the living matrix and the cosmic matrix, I am interested in the structure of space, and Vladimir Ginsburg has said the fabric of space has a spiral grain. And he's written 5 books about it. He's a quantum physicist. And this last book, Prime Elements, gives the history of the spiral in science. And it turns out, down through the ages, every generation of scientists has had a figure, an important figure, who has recognized the significance of the spiral. Ideas in science come and go, they have their day, and then they go away. The spiral recurs again and again as a profoundly important structure in science. Light travels, it is said, through space as a spiral. Its spiral is called the Cosmic Corkscrew. An interesting fact, the cornea of the eye, the hard thing that protects your retina, transparent, is a plywood-like structure. Plywood is made by taking wood, thin sheets of wood with a grain going this way, layering it with another sheet with a grain going this way, and another layer this way, and so on, and they're stacked on top of each other, and that creates a very strong material. And if you look at the structure of the cornea, it's like a piece of plywood in that the collagen fibers of each layer are offset from the one below, and it looks like this design is such that the helical flow of light through the cornea is unobstructed. And if the structure of the cornea changes a little bit, the cornea becomes opaque. So this is very important to transparency. Where are we?
A minute or two.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, helicity is important because the space medium and the body medium are both helically organized, and I'm going to wind it up. I have one more important thing to say. How can we do science? How can we do medicine when the first things we learn in school are inaccurate models of the atom? This model, the Bohr model of the atom, was recognized as inadequate before the ink dried on the paper in 1914. And yet it is the symbol of the atomic age, and it's still in all the textbooks. This picture of the cell is wrong. The soup with the organelles floating around in it, again, is wrong. When people go to medical school, they learn this model in their first course, and it's incorrect. So thank you very much. This is my website, energyresearch.us. Thank you.